Today, guys, like we will start the Ether channel. So again, like first we will see the basic configuration and why we use Ether channel, and then later on we will see the troubleshooting. So the Ether channel is also known as a link aggregation or port channel. Server side, this is also known as nicknaming as well as channeling. Okay. So the main reason, guys, like we use Ether channel, okay. So I tell you the issue which we faced in my past experience, and we solved that problem, okay, by configuring the Ether channel. So the basic like idea of like why we create the Ether channel, okay. So when we have a like multiple link going to the same device, okay. So let's say this is my 1 Gbps link, and another link is also 1 Gbps. So by configuring a Ether channel, okay, and port channel, we can make this link as a single link. और उसका benefit क्या होगा? We will get the 2 GB link. So the throughput we will get basically 2 GB because like 1 GB and 1 GB. So we are combining it, okay, through the Ether channel, and we are getting the 2 GB throughput. So that's the main the advantage of Ether channel, okay. So I remember like the issue which we face, okay, in my past experience. So the issue was, guys, like we have the router, and on this router, our physical link is 1 Gbps, and the other side is link is going to the client side, okay. So this link is fully utilized. So this was the issue. So in order to fix this issue, okay, we have two options. One option, which is basically we can purchase a new hardware, okay. So let's say if this router has any free module, we can insert a module which has like 10 Gbps port. Then we can ask the client, okay, even on the client side also, we require the 10 Gbps port. And then earlier, the link speed was 1 Gbps, and the link is fully utilized, okay. That's why we move this connection to over the 10 Gbps, okay. This is the first solution. But the problem with the first solution, okay, we need to purchase a new hardware. So if we don't have any module, or if let's say the previous router, they don't have any 10 Gbps port, then in that case, either we also need to purchase the new router, okay. So the first option, guys, like obviously that is costly as you are buying a new hardware. The second solution, like we came up with, okay, which is Ether channel. So the utilization was like around 1 to around 1.5 Gbps. So this router has some additional 1 Gbps link. So we connect like one more link. Then we create the Ether channel between these two router, okay? And then over the Ether channel, we are sending the traffic. So this was like our second solution, okay? So what we did, okay, we create the Ether channel, and after configuring the Ether channel, the overall throughput we are getting 2 Gbps. This is the basically like the main use of Ether channel. So again the main point is like we combining multiple physical link and make a one logical link, and maximum, guys, I believe like we can like add 8 physical link, okay, into a one single Ether channel. So that is like the main advantage of configuring the Ether channel, okay. So later on, guys, like we will see like more physical scenario, like especially when we covering the multi-touch Ether channel. So you see like even the Ether channel, guys, these days, not only on the switches, even you can also configure on a firewall, on a router, on a server side also. So like where you want to basically like the active forwarding, okay, like when we have a multiple link to any device, okay, let's say we have a switch, then we have a server. The server has two interface card, and we want to use both interface at the same time. So we will configure the Ether channel. Similarly, let's say we have a switch, and this switch might be connected to my firewall, and let's say this is my 10 Gbps link, okay, and I want like more bandwidth, so maybe I will connect one more link, and I will configure the ether channel over between the switch and the firewall. So, okay, so it's not necessary like you will configure only the ether channel on the switch side. So if you see, let's say the same kind of problem you are getting in your network, okay, then you as a network engineer, okay, you need to tell the proposal or solution to give you a higher management. So either we can purchase a new hardware or we can use ether channel. But again, obviously, if you buying the new hardware, okay, and if you compare both the solution, okay, so let's say I'm basically making the same scenario. So from A to B, so let's say we have one Gbps link, we have one Gbps link, and we have a point A and point B. So with the solution of ether channel, okay, the disadvantage of ether channel over the second solution, and the second solution was like purchasing the new hardware, okay. From A to B, still the maximum throughput we will get 1 Gbps. Because physically, guys, like from one source to one destination, okay, the traffic will go via physical link, okay, and the maximum physical speed is 1 Gbps. But the point is, like, as when we have a multiple source and multiple destination IP, so maybe let's say your one flow will go via link 1, and the second flow go via link 2. So this is basically how the ether channel will work. So basically we will doing the load sharing over the multiple link, but single flow always like use the one physical link. So that doesn't mean like from point A to point B, we will get the speed 2 GB. No, still we will get the 1 Gbps speed. On the other hand, like the first solution, like when we purchasing the new hardware, so let's say if point A to point B, this is also 10 Gbps link, and this is also 10 Gbps link, and the new link we configure, okay, which is also 10 Gbps. So in this case, point A to point B, we will get end to end, okay, the throughput is 10 Gbps. So this is a disadvantage of ether channel, okay, over purchasing the new hardware. But ultimately, guys, like earlier, the problem was the link utilization was 1 Gbps, 1.5 Gbps. And as we have a multiple flow, okay, we have multiple source and multiple destination, still you can solve this problem, okay, while configuring the ether channel. And so there is like multiple way to configure the ether channel. Normally, guys, these days, okay, we will always prefer the dynamic protocol. So these are the dynamic routing, dynamic protocol, okay, which are used to create a ether channel. So LACP is open standard, where other hand PAGP is a Cisco proprietary. Okay. So LACP, guys, like let's say if you want to configure the ether channel between server to a switch, even the Nexus, which is guys like Nexus, which is mainly we always use LACP, and even guys today in the practical, okay, we will use LACP, but I will show you, okay, how like if you want to enable the PAGP, you can use PAGP also. But the point is, guys, we always use the dynamic port channel over the static. Well, in the real world, guys, like we never use the static way to configure the ether channel. Okay. So let's do the configuration. Okay, here in this diagram. So I will configure the ether channel dynamic way. That means I will use the protocol, okay, which is LACP, and then I will tell you, okay, in the real world, why you always prefer the dynamic way over the static. Then we will see more troubleshooting point, okay, in the ether channel. So first, guy, on the core one, so the pre-requirement of configuring the ether channel, okay, make sure both the interface has the same speed, okay. So you cannot configure the ether channel. Okay, let's say one port is 1 Gbps and other is 10 Gbps. No. It depends, guys. Let's say, yeah, this is possible. Okay, so let's say we have a device, and this side we have a device. So the speed is less than 10 GB by default, because you see, like these days, the 9300X switches, okay, they are coming with 10 Gbps port. And at the other side, we have an old switch, okay. The old switch is basically 1 Gbps. So by default, even though these are 10 Gbps port, but uh, all the port has like the default setting is auto negotiation. And when they know my remote device is only supporting 1 Gbps, okay, so you will see like automatically they will show the speed is 1 Gbps. Because this is basically like auto negotiation do, okay. So they will figure out like the neighbor is only supporting 1 Gbps, then I will also set the speed, okay, 1 Gbps. In this case, yeah, you can configure the ether channel. But if one interface has like 1 Gbps speed and other interface is 10 Gbps, it will give the throw the error. Okay, like this can't be both the port can't be in bundle, because as both the port has different speed. Okay. So this is the pre-requirement, and some people also confuse like this number doesn't need to be matched. Like some people, student initially they think, okay, like when they study ether channel in CCNA 0.0 and next interface should be in order, okay, like 0.1. No. So in this case, okay, like these my two interface, okay, going to the core 2, and I'm going to make an ether channel. So let's do the configuration. Okay, so on the core one, my these two interface, like I will use the range command. So interface range gigabit 0 by 0. So if we have a port in sequence order, so we can use like dash and let's say up to a 5. So this means like from 0 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can do the configuration, okay, at the same time on all the port. But right now, we don't have a port in sequence order. We have a different port. So other port is gigabit 0 by. So the main configuration here, just a single command, okay. Other are optional, but the channel group, use the question mark. So this is a number. Again, this number in the different iOS, okay, you will see the earlier, like I think this channel group range is 1 to 16, but now it is showing like 1 to 255. And one side, like I'm using the any group number, okay, it doesn't need to be matched on the second peer, okay, or on the neighbor. But for the clarification, I will use the same number, okay. So 1, then use the question mark. Here, guy, like basically you can say, you want to use the static mode. So if you're using the mode is on, that means you are using static way to configure the ether channel. But as I told you guys, we never use this static way, because static, I will show you sometime it will create a loop, okay. So we will always use either PAGP or LACP. So in this case, guys, like we are going to use LACP, okay. And in LACP, guys, we have a two mode, active and passive. So active basically initiating the hello packet, and passive is going to reply the traffic. Other combination you can use, like you can also use both side active. So active basically not only sending as well as reply. But you cannot use the third combination. So make sure you're using like LACP. You cannot set like this side is also passive and this side is also passive. If you set the mode both side passive, so no one will initiating the traffic. Okay, so in that case, your ether channel will not form. Okay, because both side you have configured the mode is passive. So here guys, like I will use the one side is active. This side is I will use active. That means this will initiating the packet, LACP packet. And on the other side, I will use passive, and this will going to reply you. So let's configure here guys active. And by saying active, okay, that means we are using LACP. And you see like a one side we have done the configuration, and if normally in the real world, when we're doing this configuration, LACP configuration, I will tell you, okay, like what kind of activity you will get. But if you see my right now, my port are in suspend state. So it is also clicking the like the message LACP is currently not on the remote port. So one side like we enable the LACP, and other side we are not. So as they are not receiving any hello packet, they are basically shut down those two ports. So this issue, okay, this issue you will commonly see in the real world, especially when we're configuring the ether channel between the server and the switch. Because normally they both are from different team, okay? Maybe let's say at your side, you just only do the configuration first. And server time might be, I don't know, like when they will do the configuration. But if you configure the LACP, and as both port are in suspend state, okay, they won't forward the traffic. So I working in data center, okay. So I know like a server team, sometimes they forget, or I need to remind them, okay, hey, I'm seeing like those port are in suspend state. That means LACP is not configured on the server side. Can you please do the configuration? And the best way, guys, like you can figure out, okay, if you see like your port in suspend state, so show interface status again, guys, like as I told you on the switches, this is a very useful command, show interface status. So you can see like these port are in suspend state. And the mainly guys, like you can see like show LACP interface gigabit, show LACP counter. You can use this command or show LACP. I want to see, let's say port channel 1 and neighbor. So this is the one command. And other command I want to use to see show LACP1 count. Yeah, so this is another command. So clearly, guys, right now, you see show LACP counter. I'm sending the hello packet and I'm not receiving any hello packet. By default, LACP has two timer. Okay, one is like a you see fast timer and one is slow timer. Doesn't need to be matched. By default, I believe like LACP has slow timer, which is 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds, I'm sending the hello packet. The fast timer is 1 second. Okay, so if you see like here receiving showing 00 packet, that means a remote side, they haven't enabled the LACP. So by seeing this output, okay, I clearly tell the other team, let's say if this device is managing by other team, okay, hey, I could see like there is no, I'm not receiving any LACP packet. Can you enable the LACP at your side? And the other command I have seen, which is this one, show LACP. So sometimes, guys, you know, in the data center, let's say we want to configure the ether channel. So what they basically did, okay, one port they connected to the one server accidentally, and the other port they connected to the different server. And via seeing this command, okay, you will see like on this interface, you will see the different neighbor ID, device ID. On this port, you will see the different ID. So you cannot make the ether channel, okay, if your both port are going to different devices. Yeah, there is like way on the switches, like we will cover that technology, which is known as MLAG. But on the server side, if physically, guys, as per if you're seeing this output, okay, you clearly tell your server team, hey, I could see my both port are showing different neighbor. So physically they are not connected properly. Okay. So physically they are basically connected wrong. So you need to address that. Okay. So let's do the configuration on the other side. So on the other side, guys, like on the core 2. So interface port channel, sorry, interface range gigabit 0 via 0 and comma gigabit 0 via 3 channel group 1. Again, this number doesn't need to be matched, but for the clarification, I'm using the same number, but mode here I can use passive. Once I enable the LACP on this side, you will see your port should up now. Okay, show interface status. So you see like my both port are showing connected, and this logical interface is showing not connect. Okay, but soon you will see like now this port channel is showing up. So now, guys, like as we create the port channel between core 1 to core 2, so basically they are connected via this logical port. Okay, so all the configuration, okay, all the configuration I will do on this port and physically, and it will replicate like to those port automatically. Because like switch to switch, we always use trunk port. Then let's say I want to configure this port as a trunk. So on the way I will do the configuration, okay, I will do the configuration under the logical port, under the port channel. So this is my port channel 1. I will say switch port trunk encapsulation dot 1Q, switch port mode trunk. So all the configuration which I am doing under this logical port, it will automatically replicate to my physical port. Then on the core 2 side also, I will do the configuration interface port channel 1, switch port trunk encapsulation dot 1Q, switch port mode trunk. You see, guys, like a show run interface port channel 1. So this is the configuration under the port channel. And physically, guys, like interface gigabit 0 via 0, this configuration automatically replicate to my physical port. Our description, guys, like, yeah, if you giving the description, let's say description will not replicate to the physical. So description, you can say this is going to my core 2. So normally, guys, in the real world, we will always give the description, because if any new engineer join my company, okay, or team, so he will know easily, okay, like show interface description, which port going to where. Okay. So physically, like description will not replicate to the physical port. So maybe you can more specific, okay, like this port is gigabit 0 by 0 going to the core, and core side, this is a port, okay. And in the MAC address table, guys, like when you see the MAC address table, you will see the node, the physical port gigabit 0 via 0 and 0 via 3. You will see that traffic is going through via this interface. Okay. And so sometime guys, like you will see, then how would we know? Let's say we have any device connected between this core and they are communicate over this link, which is our port channel. So how would we know like the traffic physically is going via this link, link one or link two? So technically we don't need to know, but the main thing we need to know, make sure traffic is distributed over both the link. So I don't want like a even we have configured the port channel. So even we configure the port channel, okay, and traffic is only using via single link. My second link is idle. So in that case, guys, like maybe you need to change the load sharing method. So I will show you like what are the load sharing method we have in port channel. But the way we can check this, okay. So on Cisco Catalyst 9K, we have like some new command. Let me see if like those command supported here, utilization. No. So those command guys like not showing so the way guys we can check the utilization, okay, so interface gigabit 0 via 0 pipe include rate. So this is the command. So show interface gigabit 0 via 0. So you can like see the full command from last 5 minutes, okay, the utilization of this link is this. In the real world, guys, like because as we want to see the live utilization, we definitely, because the 5 minute again is too late, okay. So I want to see the like recent utilization, okay. So maybe guys, like I will use one more command, which is interface port channel 1, and the command is load interval, and I want to see the last 30 seconds. So if you see now, show interface, physical interface, okay, include rate. So you will see, okay, this command is also not uh, automatically replicate to the physical. So physically, guy, like we need to define load interval 30 seconds. So this means, guy, like this will now show you the utilization of last 30 seconds. So from last 30 seconds, okay, the utilization of this interface is this, and outbound utilization is this. Similarly, guys, so I don't have a traffic right now, but so mainly, guys, those are my physical port, okay, which are in bundle in Ether channel. And when we see like we have multiple flow going over this port channel, okay, make sure we should carrying the traffic on both the interface. So doesn't need to be like a match 50%, 50%. So even if you see, let's say this link is carrying 70% utilization and the other link is carrying only 30%, that is also fine. But I don't want like one interface is utilization 95% and other is 5%, 95 and another is only 5%. This is a wrong. In that case, guys, like you need to understand, okay, how is your traffic flow? So by default, if I show you the load sharing method, okay, so show Ether channel load balancing. So here you see the load sharing method is source and destination IP. Similarly, on the core to show load, show Ether channel load balancing, source and destination IP. So this means, guys, like as like when we have multiple flow. So I hope, guys, like you know what is flow. Okay, so when I say flow, that means I'm talking about connection. So if on a browser, if I say google.com, this is my one flow. So if I say google.com, This is my one flow. If I open, let's say YouTube, this is my second flow. Even on the same tab, if I open the Google again, this is my third flow. So flow means basically source and destination IP and source port and destination port. Because every time, even like when we opening Google device, even the source and destination IP is same, but source port always be different. Okay. So this means like when we have a flow and in each flow, when we have a different source and different destination IP, I will distribute the traffic. Sometimes like this load sharing method depend on your model. Even in the newer model, okay, I don't know why it is showing the load sharing method is uh, only based on the source MAC. So you can change the guys like this load. Sorry, the command is if you want to change the load load balancing. So these are the guys method. So some devices, if we see like only source MAC, so I remember like the way we configure the ether channel, okay? So we have a firewall to switch, and then we have a like some link. So you see like how MAC address work, okay? And as you know, this is working, this is a layer 3 device. So when we have a communication between firewall and the core switch, so every time you will see only in the source MAC, you will see the firewall. Every connection, okay? Because MAC address, as I show you, as we discussed in the last class, okay, MAC address only like carrying within the LAN. So when the firewall sending the traffic to the core, every time you will see the source MAC is basically the firewall. And here, guy, like this switch is basically working as a layer 2. And other side, we have a device, which is, let's say, any layer 3 device. So here also we have a port channel. So on this switch, basically, we have a load sharing method is based on the source MAC. And every packet, like when we are getting from this firewall, and this switch is basically using the one link. So this is a still fine source and destination IP, but you will never use source MAC or either destination MAC or source IP or destination IP. Always use these two, okay? And even in the newer platform, I'm not sure like on the enterprise, but on the on the Nexus, there is like a new method, okay, which is source, destination, IP as well as port, okay. So this is basically eventually like a you want to see, okay, when we're configuring the port channel, make sure both interface should carry the traffic. And other troubleshooting, guys, like I want to cover the port channel. So we already cover like the suspended one. So one side is LACP is on, other side is not. Or we also cover the let's say it's accidentally your port physically connected to the different devices. We also cover that. And let's now more focus on the show command. Okay. So show ether channel summary. This is a command to check the status. So if we see guys like any show command, okay, so you need to understand these code, okay. By seeing this, okay, you will easily understand what's going on. So you see like this is, we have port channel 1 and S means this is a layer 2 port channel. So if we see here R, that means this is a layer 3 ether channel. So U means guys like this is in use. Instead of U, if we see D, that means our port channel is down. And you see like the protocol is LACP. If we're using like any other protocol like PAGP, then you will see PAGP. And if we don't see both the protocol, that means we are using static ether channel. If we don't see any option, that means we are using static ether channel. Both are port in P means both are in bundle. And instead of P, if we see, let's say here the status is IS, that means I means individual and S means suspended. So you can see guys, like all the keyword here, okay? It's not showing the full output, but yeah, here. So I means, S means suspended, I means standalone. Or next is I think it's showing individual. Okay, individual means like one somehow your one port is down in the port channel. They are not part of the port channel anymore. Only one port is in a bundle. So as long as like once you guys configure the port channel, okay, so it will remain up. Let's say we have a 4 physical port, 3 goes down. Still my one port is up, physical port is up. Your port channel will also remain up. Okay. If all 4 goes down, then your port channel will be also down. So again, the show verification command is show ether channel summary. Show ether channel load balancing and LACP command. Show LACP1 counter. Show LACP name. So right now you see like on both the devices, I'm seeing the same neighbor ID. That means that like my both port are going to the same device. Okay. So any question, guys, regarding today class? Any question? Like those guys like who are my previous student, okay? कभी LACP की ट्रबल शूटिंग करी है इथर चैनल की ट्रबल शूटिंग जसवीर और महेश रजत have you faced any ether channel issue?
No, sir.
Yes, sir, I did Ether channel troubleshooting. So sometimes there are two links, so one physical link goes down, so still the traffic will carry by one link.
Okay, have you can like configure any new ether channel and that time like ether channel is not come up, okay? So उस केस में करे कभी करी उसको भी कैसे ट्रबल शूट करें?
नहीं सिर्फ मॉनिटरिंग किया सर, ट्रबल शूटिंग कॉन्फ़िगरेशन नहीं की.
I believe like those like who are my previous student, okay, I already covered this point, okay? आपने ये तो देखा होगा कभी मतलब ये LACP पे हेलो पैकेट जा रहे हैं, सेंड हो रहे हैं, रिसीव हो रहे हैं कि नहीं हो रहे प्रॉपरली?
Yes.
ये हाय विशाल यार,
Yes,
आपने
sure.
जो एग्जांपल बताया ना कि वो जो एक एक पोर्ट एक सर्वर को कनेक्ट होता है और दूसरा दूसरे सर्वर को, तो वो इशू आया था मेरे इसमें, लेकिन मैंने नहीं सॉल्व किया था, मेरे सीनियर ने किया था.
Mm-hmm. And this happened, okay, like because all those like I'm telling you because I faced so many issue, okay, with the ether channel, okay. So ये काफी like accidentally एक पोर्ट कहीं कहीं कनेक्ट कर दिया और दूसरा कहीं कर दिया. तो वो इजीली अगर आप चेक करते हैं ना, अगर LACP अपनी आ रहा था तो पहले इस पोर्ट पे नेबर आईडी देखते और दूसरे पोर्ट पे नेबर आईडी देखते, दोनों पे अलग अलग नेबर आईडी दिखाती तो उसको बता देता भी ये तो फिजिकली जो केबल्स हैं दे आर नॉट कनेक्टेड इन अ राइट वे, ओके.
ये और सर एक बार आप बताओगे कि कोर और ये एक्सेस स्विच और ये जो राउटर आपने यूज किया वो कौन से इमेजेस यूज किए हैं?
So on the EVNC guys, like the images I'm using, so I will use only these VIOS images.
ओके.
Okay, so router, like I'm in the, so far I'm okay, I'm using the router as a end machine, but I'm using only these two images.
सर आपके पास ये 2 इमेजेस पड़ी हैं, ये शेयर कर सकते हो?
हाँ पढ़िए, मैं शेयर कर दूंगा मैं।
ठीक है। सर एक और चीज इसको इसके रिलेटेड,
हम्म।
जब हम इसको कॉन्फ़िगर कर रहे हैं लाइव नेटवर्क पे, तो मेरा लाइव नेटवर्क डिस्टर्ब नहीं होगा जो करंटली उस पे चल रहा है?
So yeah, that's a good question. Okay, I'm coming to that point. Okay, and also in future, if you want to add one more port in Ether channel, how we can do this? Okay, so that's a good question. Okay, I'm going to cover this. Just one second. So it depends. Let's say if we have a switches, and let's say we have a server. So server is like connected, guys, and communication is happening. But then in future we want to use the Ether channel. Okay. So in this case, definitely I will plan this activity, and we also need a downtime. So downtime basically, guys, like आप क्या करते हो कंपनी में एडवाइजरी भेजते हो, like we are doing this activity on this server and all the application hosted on that server that will be impacted. So इस केस में आप क्या करते हो रियल वर्ल्ड में, क्या है, आप एक डाउन टाइम लेते हो, यानी कि वीकेंड में जब आपका प्रोडक्शन यूजर नहीं होते, तो उस टाइम पे आप ये एक्टिविटी करोगे। ओके, तो उस केस में आप मे भी ईथर चैनल कॉन्फ़िगर करोगे, माइट बी सर्वर टीम बाद में कर रही है, जब वो पहले कर रही है तो पोर्ट सस्पेंड भी चले जाएंगे, तो ऑब्वियसली आपका ट्रैफिक क्या इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा। ओके, बट द मेन पॉइंट इज, let's say we are doing the activity, we have like existing, we have a 2 port, okay, in a port channel. And the activity is now we want to add additional 1 more port in that Ether channel. Okay. So this activity you can plan again, obviously from the safer side. Okay, you will do this activity in the non-production time. But the way we can do this activity, first we will shut down this port. And then this side, when we configure the LACP, and this side, when we also configure the LACP, then we will basically bring this interface, okay, up. So this is the best way. First, we will shut down the port, either one side, and once we ensure the both side we have enabled the configuration, then we enable the port. Okay. So this is the best way to do adding any port, okay. And the disadvantage of, guys, like static Ether channel, okay. So this is the disadvantage of static Ether channel. Let's say you have a Ether channel and you're using static way, and in future if we want to add one more port and you didn't follow the approach, okay, because by default switch port in no shutdown state, you run the command this side first. So this side, guy, like switch will think, okay, we have a 3 port and a Ether channel, and this side we didn't like configure the command, channel group command. Then the end result will basically like this will think, okay, now these are the 3 port in port channel, and this side, like these 2 port will show you in the port channel, and this will show you as a I individual. You will see the unidirectional loop. Okay. But in LACP like always, or in dynamic Ether channel, okay, they always sending the hello packet. So if let's say even you enable the LACP this side, and you like take some time to enable the Ether channel configuration on this port, okay, but still on this side, this port will not show you in the Ether channel, okay, because we are not receiving any LACP packet, okay, on this side. So that is the main advantage of configuring the dynamic Ether channel, okay. So dynamic, somehow, if one side port is not a part of Ether channel, the other side will also basically lose the bundling configuration. So because via sending the hello packet, okay, they will figure out, they will see the neighbor port is a part of the ether channel or not. So that's why we always use this dynamic ether channel, okay? Because dynamic ether channel, we basically sending the hello packet. We are checking our neighbor, okay? Tracking our neighbor by sending the hello packet. Okay, so guys, that is it for the today class. So tomorrow we have a class, and tomorrow I will take the class same time. Okay?
सर एक क्वेश्चन, आपने सेपरेट फोल्डर क्रिएट किया है क्या? ये शेयर किया है क्या आपने वीडियो? आप
Yes.
मुझे लिंक नहीं मिला शेयर का, नॉट श्योर सबको मिला है नहीं।
मोस्ट प्रोबेबली मैंने आपको लिंक भेजा, सिर्फ रजत को नहीं भेजा था, बट मैं आई विल चेक योर ईमेल अगेन, ओके? माइट बी केयर
क्या?
मिस टाइप कर देता हूँ योर ईमेल एड्रेस, ओके? आई विल चेक अगेन।
श्योर
सर
सर, थैंक
सेम ड्राइव पे डाल दोगे इमेजेस ये वाली दोनों?
हाँ, ओके, यस श्योर।